Surprise, surprise, surprise. Everybody I knew I had a son, but you didn't know I had two sons, did you? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yes.
But this is our first time seeing Legion. The only thing I can say is about Percy Pringle is all of his sons look like something out of horror movies. All right, but Legion will be squaring off with the wild-eyed Southern boy, Tracy Smothers. And this ought to be a real good matchup here. Joe, I was just elaborating. You know, Percy Pringle says this guy Legion is his son. You know, all of Pringle's sons, they look like something you'd see on the late-night horror movie show or something.
Well, yeah, that's very true, Dan Ferris. And I guess when you consider the fruit of his loins, as he put it in the ring, that doesn't conjure a pretty picture in my mind either. So I tell you what, though, Legion is in there. He's got Tracy Smothers. Should be a tremendous contest here with Iron Ring Wrestling in Kingsport, Tennessee, coming to you from the Meadowview Convention Center. And, Dan, I tell you what, Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer, whatever you want to call him, has lost a tremendous amount of weight. No doubt about that. He's half the man that a lot of fans are familiar with seeing. But there's no question that's him.
That's no doubt about it. You know, Percy Pringle looks like he must have lost about 100 pounds or so, but
easily.
But his mind is still ticking and still sharper than ever.
Oh, no doubt about that. He's the pride of Mobile, Alabama. And Percy Pringle III, as he was originally known, and most of the fans, of course, know him as the longtime manager and mentor, leader, spiritual advisor, call him what you will, to The Undertaker and Kane. And, of course, Mankind was another very strong member of his stable for many years. But tell you what, Percy Pringle here with his new son, Legion.
Evidently, Percy must have got around, but we'll get into this also. Percy Pringle, before going into the World Wrestling Entertainment. Trip. Percy Pringle also was very prominent in the southeastern United States. Not only did he hit the Texas area like a whirlwind, you know, he was also in other territories, and there was a whole lot more to him than just his career in the World Wrestling Entertainment.
Oh, no doubt about it, and that's something that some fans may realize and some may not realize, that a man doesn't just start his career and, boom, instantly land in the WWE. Many of them can take years. Al Snow, for instance, 15 years he plied his trade on the independent circuits in the world of wrestling before he was picked up by World Wrestling Entertainment. And, that's so true of many, many superstars that you see there. You know, they don't just go from one day hopping up and deciding they're going to be a wrestler to being on the Bright Lights, big cities tours that World Wrestling Entertainment will take you on. There's no question about that. But I tell you what, Tracy Smothers not endearing himself to the fans here in Kingsport whatsoever. Legion with a quick roll-up right there. Got a 2 count on Smothers, as Legion right back up on his feet, ready to do battle. And, Dan Paris, I got a good look at both of these guys standing there in the ring, and there's no question in my mind, Legion probably is the son of Paul Bearer. There is a striking resemblance.
You know, I saw them in the back cutting their interview, and these guys look very uncanny similar. I mean, it's a shock to me.
Tell you what, the whole wrestling world will be shocked once this announcement gets out and gets about and people start to realize that Percy Pringle III, Paul Bearer, does indeed have another son who is an active competitor in the world of wrestling. And, of course, we used to know this. Many of us native or people who've been following Iron Ring Wrestling here in Kingsport for some time are very familiar with this man. He used to wrestle as CC Rocket. That's been the name that we've known him as for several years over here in Tennessee. But now the truth has come out.
Well, obviously, I wouldn't see that if he had to pay a check anywhere that he'd be signing it as CC Rocket. So evidently the Pringle bloodline was covered up just due to the other name.
Well, yeah, and it's, guys do that. I mean, Barry Windham, perfect case in point. Blackjack Mulligan Jr.,
it happens.
Yeah, I mean, for many years, Barry Windham wrestled as Barry Windham and didn't let people know that, Blackjack Mulligan was indeed his father. Yes, it does indeed happen where guys don't want to necessarily feed off of the popularity or the reputation of their fathers.
Big slam. Also, Dustin Rhodes, who's wrestled as Dustin Rhodes, his real name, but also has been well known as Gold Dust. Dustin, much like this guy here, doesn't really want to ride the coattails of a famous relative, so they got to carve out their own niche in wrestling.
Absolutely, and I really respect that personally. I respect a man who wants to make his own niche in the world and not necessarily work off the reputation of his father. And apparently that's been the philosophy of Legion here up until this point, and he decided here on his birthday to let the world know that Percy Pringle III, Paul Bearer, is indeed his father. But Tracy Smothers doesn't seem to give much of a darn about that, as he just kicked Legion right in the mush on that one.
Really doing a number on him. And Joe, I want to bring something up we didn't have an opportunity to ask. We had the Armstrongs back in the back, and, they've got a match coming up that's going to be a good one. But, Tracy Smothers has been like a son to Bob Armstrong. What's Bob think of this Tracy Smothers now?
This attitude?
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, you really do. And, that'd be a great question to pose to Bob because, I very, very seriously doubt that he's happy with Tracy's attitude. Bob has raised all of his sons to fight the good fight and do the right thing. And, like you said, Tracy Smothers was like a son to Bob, but I doubt he's feeling very endeared to him right now, as Smothers with a blatant chokehold there, just beating Legion down in the corner here, employing every dirty tactic that he can, as Paul Bearer here seems to be very concerned about the welfare of his youngest son.
Yeah, obviously, and he should be. But don't count anything out about Percy Pringle. He's going to probably... Well, the people may be cheering him here tonight, but this guy is very diabolical.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. Long, long reputation for doing dirty deeds. And many of those deeds, of course, have been perpetrated in the World Wrestling Entertainment. But, if you look further back in Percy Pringle's career and go back to Texas.
Boy, he did a number on the Von Erichs.
Oh, yeah. So he's, though the fans here in Kingsport are, cheering for him tonight, and many people do feel very endeared to him because of the fact he is a WWE legend, has been there, done that. People have watched him on television for years. They're responding very positively to him here, and especially when Tracy Smothers is using tactics like he was right there, putting both feet up on the ropes to gain the advantage on the reverse chin lock that he's got Legion in. People are willing to forget the history sometimes and cheer for who's doing the right thing at whatever moment.
And some of these young fans, unfortunately, don't really realize that Pringle in his way in the beginning of the WWE days of him being there, and also back in the territorial days, this guy was he was a villain if there ever was one. He was just a nasty guy.
Oh, no doubt about that. Legion now with a roll-up here on Smothers. Referee's tied up. Referee Rob Knight not aware of it. Got a 2 count there out of the situation for Tracy Smothers was able to kick out there. Smothers right back in on Legion, though.
Rob must have his mind on other things, being tied up with Percy Pringle at ringside and all kind of stuff. And Tracy Smothers is so good at hiding the stuff that he pulls off.
Good point there, Dan. You really got to watch Tracy, especially, his hands, because he moves those hands like lightning sometimes. And, of course, that, I believe, is Oriental training that he picked up over in Japan in his many tours over there, because he will utilize those martial art maneuvers in his matchups oftentimes.
Well, Tracy's also, he's toured Japan several times.
Absolutely, and he's adapted that style and brought it back here to the U.S. a little bit.
All right, let's check it out and see what's going on with Legion. Looks like one more will end the match if he can hang in there. Remains to be seen. Well, his arm actually dropped. Rob Knight should really be stopping the match at this point.
He's barely hanging in there. It looks like Smothers continue to apply a ton of pressure on Legion.
Joe, I think evidently he must have heard him talking to know that he was still conscious, and therefore, he had to keep the match going.
And there is some movement in the arms and legs of Legion at this point in time. He does have that one arm up in the air there as Smothers now brings him back up to a sitting position in that reverse chin lock as he continues to apply pressure. Legion now trying to make his way back up. He is on a vertical base. Catches this man with a couple of back elbows right there, necessitating the break. But once again, the very fast hands of Tracy Smothers comes back into play, and a club and forearm across the back as Legion finds himself in trouble back in the corner. Smothers again with those rapid-fire shots. That martial arts training right there coming into play. I tell you what, he may be a good old boy from Tennessee, but his world travels have adapted his style thusly. Legion with a couple of shots of his own now sends Smothers into the far corner hard, comes across and catches Tracy with a big splash right there. Legion now with a big full scoop into a body slam and in for a cover and only got a 2 count. Legion certainly had the momentum, Dan.
He did. It just wasn't quite enough to put away the wild-eyed Southern boy.
Legion now comes off the ropes, steps over his man here and catches him with a big leg drop right there. Legion's got to be in that 300-pound range. He's a large fella. And Smothers now opening up on him with a series of shots now. Tracy Smothers going to his tights, Dan.
He's got some sort of object. Hey, and that's going to do it. It's disqualification time.
Referee Rob Knight obviously saw the weapon utilized, and we've got a DQ.
It looks like Legion will get the win by disqualification.